Hello everyone, today is 23rd of March. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, today's day, 23rd of March, as you know, stands for Martyrs' Day Shahidi Divas, and the day stands as a tribute to three of the most patriotic freedom fighters of India who had laid their lives for the India's freedom struggle. That is the great Bhagat Singh, the great Sukhdev, and the great Rajguru. Now, this thing is obviously very well known that no amount of words can measure up to the contribution that they have made, and even we are not worthy for that particular thing. Only today we can learn some of their great values and can strive to make this nation great again. So in today's GS folder, we will be taking a quote from the Bhagat Singh. He had talked about the real revolution. He says revolution did not necessarily involve sanguinary strife. It was not a cult of bomb and pistol. Now, the sanguinary strife means that revolution doesn't necessarily involve that there needs to be a blood shelling. Moreover, it is also not the arsenal that you are having. Rather, the revolution is fought onto the ideology, and that ideology stays even after the people have been passed. And this particular idea, Bhagat Singh always wanted to give. Now, guys, many a times mistakenly, we always consider that Bhagat Singh was a person who always propagated the violent means for the independence, but that particular thing is not true. Rather, Bhagat Singh was the proponent of the ideology that is needed into the India. So guys, that is all about the today's GS folder. I hope that you have understood these great ideas and now will be taking up the newspaper analysis. Now, taking up the first article, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that a model is being taken up into the Delhi, where the cabinet has approved the setting up of 100 schools for the specialized excellence. Now, guys, these particular schools will aim to tap the potential of gifted children, the children who are extraordinarily good into the STEM, that is, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, performing, and the visual arts, humanities, as well as into the high-end 21st century skills such as coding, artificial intelligence, machine-to-machine communication, etc. Now, guys, it has been said that right into the childhood or into the early stages, they will be identified, and into these schools, they will be given the specialized expertise. Now, it will facilitate the era of specialization which India direly needs to leap forward into the fourth industrial revolution that is coming. Now, these particular schools will be choice based and will be provided to the children. Now, into the 2020, we have already seen that government came out with the new education policy of 2020, which propagated a new school framework. Now, guys, earlier we are having 10 plus 2, and in place of this, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 curriculum is being propagated. And into last these 4 years, this specialized knowledge in all of them will be provided. So guys, that is all that government is now thinking. So into the education, you can give the model of the Delhi that Delhi is taking, that is the setting up of 100 specialized schools. So that is all, and now we'll be taking up the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Mint newspaper, and it talks about increasing water crisis into the India. Now, guys, before going into this particular article, first of all, I will tell you some of the context. Now, we know this particular thing that the water stress in India is very much high. If we see the drinking water quality in 2019, most of the state capitals have failed and they are not able to provide the good quality of water to its residents. Now, guys, on an average, 10 water samples on random were taken up and they were tested, and it shows that how many of them had actually failed. So guys, in Jammu, out the 10 out of 10 have failed, in Dehradun 10 out of 10 had failed, in Patna 10 out of 10 had failed, for Delhi 11 samples were taken, all of them got failed, for Kolkata 9 samples were taken, all of them again got failed, and in Hyderabad was there at which only one of them got failed. No, guys, the standard that was taken here was the Bureau of Indian Standards, and guys, the source is the National Sample Survey of 2018. And after that, there are other indicators also to show the water scarcity in India. Now, here into this chart number 3, we can see that India has one of the fastest shrinking water pool among the G20 economies, and here onto the third rank India is standing. Then, guys, there is also the water disparity when we compare the people into the rural areas as well as urban areas. Now, here you can see that how many people are getting the piped water at the different levels of their economic scale. Now, when we talk about the poorest 20% of the people. In these 20%, only 11% people into the rural areas are getting piped water, and only 44% people into the urban areas are getting piped water. Even guys, when we compare the richest of the 20%, they are also only 33% into the rural areas, they are getting the piped water, and into the urban areas 64% are getting the piped water. So it is not only the factor of your economic scale that whether you will get the water, rather across all the economic categories the water stress is there. Moreover guys, particularly onto the state level, the Punjab, Rajasthan have the worst groundwater levels into the India. Now, keeping all these particular things into the mind, government, see, in 2019 came out with the Jal Jeevan Mission Rural, under which it was said that within the 5 years, all the rural households will be provided with the tap water connection. Now, guys, what had happened? Out of this, only 2/5 of the target have been met, and it is not a very good performance. But government had initiated one even extension of this particular scheme, that is the Jal Jeevan Mission Urban, where even now the urban people have been put into the priority. Now, guys, it has been provided into the article. When we talk about the water challenges of the urban as well as rural people, they are quite different. See, into the rural areas, the agriculture is one which consumes the most amount of water. Now, it is causing prominently the water scarcity. When we talk about the urban areas, their agriculture is not more, but rather the density of population is so much that it also becomes the quite big consumer of the water. And then for both the purposes, for the consumption in urban as well as for the agriculture into the rural, the reliance is onto the groundwater, and this particular thing has depleted the groundwater level beyond the redemption. Here you can see that the groundwater is used for 64% of India's irrigation need. Then 85% of India's rural water drinking needs are also again fulfilled by the groundwater, and more than 50% of urban water needs are fulfilled by the groundwater level. Now, this particular thing has been told by one of a very reliable study which was made by the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is NABARD, in association with the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations. Guys, you can quote it into your answers also, it will make a very good impression. Then it has been provided that into the states, particularly the Punjab as well as Rajasthan, even big deeper wells are being bored for the agricultural needs. You know that into the Punjab the paddy cultivation is being done, and paddy is only suitable for the areas where more than 100 centimeter of rain is there. But clearly the Punjab is not suitable, they are fulfilling all that water need by exploiting the groundwater. And because of all such high pressure, it has been provided that India's per capita water availability is also depleting very much fast. Between 2013 to 2017, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, it has been provided that Indians have 1428 kiloliters of water per capita per year, and it is one of the worst among the group of 20 nations. And it is further going down since 1919s, and the rate of depletion is also very much fast into the India. Now, guys, therefore, the Jal Jeevan Mission, rural as well as urban, becomes very much important. But the problem is not introducing the new schemes, rather, it is the implementation of the scheme. And therefore, guys, it has been provided that the urban local bodies as well as the panchayats should be given a special mandate. Even, guys, recently the 15th Finance Commission that was constituted, it has recommended that 30% of the state financing to rural and urban local bodies should be tied up onto the performance of their water supply and management, whether they have done good or not. For moreover, it has been provided that the cities with million plus population should be given a special responsibility. It has been provided that there needs to be a challenge fund which will be made available onto the basis of performance in meeting the service level benchmarks with respect to the drinking water supply, rainwater harvesting, water recycling, and all such kind of priorities. So guys, you can provide them as a suggestion into your answers. Now guys, if all these things will become successful, we will be able to evade the day zero threat. Now the day zero threat means the day when all the water resources into the ground will be depleted. Now, rather than making the quantity of water available, the quality also needs to be improved, and we have already seen that the treatment of water is not up to the mark. So into this particular thing, the municipalities as well as panchayats need to take even special initiatives. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and it could be a ready-made answer for your GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. That is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, here we can see an observation has been made by the Supreme Court with respect to the affirmative action which is being given into the India, and you can quote it as a reference into your answers of GS paper number 2, where you are talking about the social justice and the social welfare. Now, guys, before going into this particular thing, I would like to give you some of the background. See what is happening. You might be knowing about the Indira Sahani judgment which came in 1992, where the Supreme Court set the 50% limit for the reservation. Now, guys, it was provided that going beyond this particular limit will causing the discrimination for the general category people. However, it has been seen meanwhile that many of the states have breached this 50% limit and are providing reservation up to the tune of 69%, 70%. And here you can take the example of Tamil Nadu, and recently the Maharashtra had also given a special quota to the Maratha communities, where the Socially and Educationally Backward Classes Act has been passed, and additional 12% reservation and 13% reservation has been provided for the jobs as well as into the educational institutions. Now, this particular thing was challenged into the courts, and guys, now even a bigger question had come in front of the judiciary. Judiciary says that as the respective states are breaching this particular limit, should we entirely again go into the nitty-gritties of the Indira Sahani judgment? Should we see that whether this 50% limit now holds any logic or not? So on to this particular matter, Supreme Court is debating, and it is introspecting that whether there is a need to create a bigger judge bench to see the relevance of the Indira Sahni judgment now. Now, guys, when this particular matter was going on, the Justice Ravindra Bhatt into the Supreme Court had provided that we always consider the affirmative action to just be the reservations, and this particular matter is always debated. Rather, there is a need to see that what more we can do. There is a need to establish more institution to provide more opportunities so that the affirmative action can be reaped into the reality. It is not just giving the reservations. So, guys, this could be a valid point when you are talking about the utility of reservation into the present times and the increased agitation that has been there. So, guys, please do utilize it into your answers as a reference point. And that is all. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, this article has been taken from the Indian Express newspaper, and it talks about the unilateralism that is being shown nowadays by the gig platforms. Now, first of all, guys, when we talk about the gig platforms, it refers to the enterprises such as the Uber, Ola, Swiggy, Zomato, etc. Now, guys, these gig platforms are now providing considerable employment to the people, and actually, into this particular way, they had reduced the labor or employment woes into the India. Now, when we talk about these platforms, they themselves refer to them as marketplaces or the technology platforms. Now, onto these technology platforms, the workers which are working, they are called as partners or the self-employed people. Now, this particular categorization has been deliberately given so that the onus with respect to the labor rights can be reduced. Moreover, guys, so that many of normal legislations don't apply to these gig platforms. For example, when we talk about the taxi or such kind of things, for that there are the fares that have been set by the government, but they don't call them as a taxi service. Rather, they call themselves as a kind of a tech platform so that they can evade such kind of regularizations. Moreover, guys, so that they can transfer the cost of owning and maintaining the assets like car and motorbikes to the platform workers. So therefore, they have assumed such kind of role. But it has been seen that actually, rather than just a platform, they hold a considerable role onto the life of the people who are working into them. A kind of a unilateralism has been seen that frequently their licenses are cancelled, their payments are withheld, or they are reduced. Guys, it has been seen that when we talk about these platforms, for example, the Zomato, they classify their partners into the blue category, bronze category, silver, and diamond category. And the higher the category, you are given a specific badge which gives certain perks. For example, the people who are having a diamond badge, they are assured 50% more work allocation than other partners. And now, guys, these badges are dependent onto the star rating. This particular badge can be degraded if your rating has been less and can be upgraded if your rating have been good. Now, it basically assures a minimum standard, but guys, it is also being misutilized. For example, here an example has been given that many a times when customers give some kind of inordinate demands, and when they are not fulfilled, they threaten them by giving them the less rating. For example, many a times the people, they demand the food delivery partners to bring alcohol and all such kind of things, and when they don't abide by that particular thing, they are punished by giving the less star ratings, and then this particular thing is also reciprocated by their partners, and often their licenses are cancelled, their commissions are deducted, and all such kind of things happened. And into this particular direction, recently a report was also published by the the International Labour Organization onto the digital platforms. It provided that there are immensely long working hours onto these particular platforms into the developing countries such as India, and even there is no grievance redressal mechanism for the workers. So indirectly they are being harassed. Now, into the context of India, when we talk, recently we came out with the code on social security. Now, into this particular code, the platform workers and the gig workers have been provided that they are eligible for certain social security benefits. Now, this particular thing is good, but guys, government needs to do even more than this. They need to make sure that there are the more rights. For example, the collective bargaining right needs to be there, and even there is a kind of a burden onto these platforms that they install the grievance redressal mechanism so that an arbitrary or unilateral behavior is not done with these people. Now, guys, here into this particular article, a reference was also given with respect to the recent Zomato worker case into the Bengaluru, where it was said that he had assaulted a lady. Now, the entire side of the story is not clear, but it has been provided that into this particular matter, the Zomato had behaved responsibly, and even paying the legal fees with respect to the proceedings that are going on, even compensating the worker during this particular time. But always it doesn't happen. This is the rare case which had got the national spotlight. So that, guys, always a good behavior is done with them. The statutory protections are to be given. So that is all about this particular article, guys. Please do utilize it into the labor welfare in GS paper number 3. A direct question can be there onto this particular line. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the matters with respect to the investigation onto the conduct of the judges, and it could be important for our GS paper number 2 with respect to the issues related to the judiciary. Now, friends, into this article, there have been direct references given for the sitting Supreme Court judges as well as onto the politicians. And one thing you need to keep into your mind, that never you will utilize their names into your answers. So we'll not give their reference, rather we will see the concept. So basically it has been provided that when we talk about the Chief Justice of India, he had been called as the master of roster. Now, as a master of roster, he has the complete power that he can set the priority order of the cases, he can constitute the bench into the court, and can give the specific case to the different benches. Now, guys, let's take one hypothetical situation. Suppose there is one person and he is the Chief Justice of India, and there are the charges of corruption against this particular person, and for that particular thing a petition has been made. Now, guys, if this particular case is to be heard by the Supreme Court, obviously the same person, the same judge will be looking that this case should be given to which particular bench, and here the same person is acting as a judge as well as accused, and this thing is unhealthy precedent. Now, guys, into this particular matter, if I tell you, it has been provided that now the next Chief Justice of India, that is the 48th Chief Justice of India, will be the N.V. Raman. And onto the N.V. Raman, there was the allegation of corruption that was made by the Chief Minister of the Andhra Pradesh, that is the Jagan Mohan Reddy. He had said that the N.V. Raman had done some land corruption into the Amravati, as well as he had been very much biased against the judicial process that is going into the Andhra Pradesh High Court, and had deliberately tried to provide some of the benefit to the opposition. Now, guys, basically when we talk about the credentials of the Chief Minister, it has been said that he himself is facing many charges onto the corruption, and therefore he might not be a credible person in personal capacity. But, guys, he is the Chief Minister, and therefore he is holding a constitutional office, and the office of the judge is also a constitutional office. And when such high profile constitutional offices are into the conflict, there is a matter that such kind of thing needs to be seen. Now, guys, obviously the matter is pending into the Supreme Court. Now, in a couple of months, N.V. Raman will become the Chief Justice of India into the Supreme Court, and when this particular matter will come up for hearing, obviously he will be deciding that to whom such kind of matter will be given, and then there will be the problem. It has been provided that there needs to be a complete, fair and transparent judicial inquiry, and the outcome of such kind of an inquiry should be made aware to the citizens, so that it is known that all the charges have been absolved and there is a true integrity. But the process into the India is something different. Now, guys, it has been provided that when such kind of allegation is made, then there is a procedure of in-house inquiry that was devised in 1997. Now, guys, into this in-house inquiry, there is complete insulation from the external gaze. Neither the general public is told anything, nor there is a kind of a time limit that is set. Moreover, guys, the report is not also disclosed anywhere, and this particular thing shows that there might be something ulterior that is going on behind the curtains. So such kind of opacity is not good, and therefore guys, there is a need that a reform needs to be carried by the judiciary itself, and citizens have a right that they should know that the person who is being chosen into the highest office of judiciary is the man of uncompromised integrity in all walks of life. So guys, such kind of suggestion has been provided into this particular article. If any type of a question onto this particular line comes, then guys, you need to be highly selective with respect to the language that you are using and the content that you are delivering. Nowhere you can make a personal attack. That thing you need to keep it in your mind. So that is all about it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this article again has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the political history of Delhi into the light of Government of NCT of Delhi Amendment Bill 2021. Now, guys, from past few days, many a times we have discussed this particular issue into the entirety, and we have also seen that why the criticisms are also being laid onto that. Now, guys, apart from that, the whatever we have discussed, there is nothing substantial into this entire article. However, still, if you want for your own leisure, you can read it. So that is all, and now we'll move into the next article. Friends, this article has been taken from the Indian Express, and it can be important for your GS paper number 1 as well as your GS paper number 3, as it talks about the interlinking of the rivers into the India. Now, guys, first of all, you might have heard about the National River Linking Program, which was envisaged into the 1980s for the first time, because we know that in India there are some areas which are constantly flooded, some areas are there which are constantly into the drought. So there is no proper distribution of water into the India. So therefore it has been provided that the rivers will be linked into such a way that perennial rivers provide the deficit water to the seasonal rivers, and so that and for entire year there is enough water for irrigation and all such kind of needs. Now guys, into this particular thing, large number of rivers were to be linked, and a positive start has also been made by the Ken Betwa link, for which the pact has been inked by the government of Uttar Pradesh as well as Madhya Pradesh, and the Prime Minister had called it as a historic development, as it will help in India to achieve the self-sufficiency into the water, and it is a kind of a historic thing. Now guys, earlier also the Godavari and Krishna link canal was also initiated, so India is moving very positively into the line of the National River Linking Program, and it can solve the water wars into the India. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Friends, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and again it will be important for our GS paper number 3, labor reforms in India. Now here, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship had told all the governments that whenever they are employing the contract workers for any particular kind of task, they need to make it mandatory that the workers need to have the skill certificate. Now I will try to explain this particular thing. Suppose guys, the government decides that onto the road or onto a highway, the markings have been erased, and now the new markings are to be made. Now for this particular thing, the contract workers will be hired. The some government official, he will be contacting with the contractor, and he will supply the laborers. Now the contractor, he will look for the informal laborers, so that into the less money this particular work can be done. Now guys, on one hand, government is promoting the Skill India mission and says to the people that they should acquire the skill and should get the certificates for them. Now if government will make mandatory that the skill certificates needed to be there, then this particular contractor needs to hire only those people who have been adequately skilled, and even they will be paid more. Seeing this particular thing, even the informal workers will start looking to enroll for the skill courses and will get the skill certificate, and in mean course of time, India will be a country where the skilled workers force will be increased. Now it has been provided that if immediately this particular limitation or condition cannot be imposed, then into the phased manner it should be taken up. That is a 10% initially, and then progressively it is to be increased, and maximum by 2026 2027, the 100% of the workers which are working on to the government contracts need to have the skill certificate. So guys, that is all about this particular development. Obviously it will have the positive as well as the negatives will also be there, because the people who don't have any kind of know-how presently, the sole earning members of their family, they will face the problem. So guys, that is all about this particular development, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, into the past few days, we have seen that the bill to increase the FDI into the insurance is being tabled, and we are following every day this particular development. Now, guys, the bill has even been passed into the Lok Sabha. Earlier, the bill was passed into the Rajya Sabha, and it will be given to the president, who will be giving the assent to this also. And now you can update your notes that finally the FDI into the insurance will increase from 49% to 74%. Now, guys, into the article, there is no much substance. It is only discussing about the hairline details with respect to the passing. Now we have seen that it provides that by this particular thing much of the capital will be provided, and even the government had said that the privatization as well as participation of foreign players will increase the jobs. Actually, it has been provided that there are more employees into the private sector into the insurance against the public sector insurance, and as well as the agents are also more into the private insurance companies. So actually the private sector brings more job, and therefore by increasing the FDI limit, by bringing the foreign players, actually the jobs will increase. This is the suggestion of the government. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and as very closely we are following it from so many days, more than that you don't need to go into the details. So that is for the today's newspaper analysis. Friends, I hope that you are finding the initiative fruitful. Guys, please do like the video and please share the initiative if possible. Thank you so much.